Hey everyone, before we dive in, here's something really cool. You're listening to an episode created almost entirely by AI. From the script to the voice, this is part of the AI Takeover series by Blockchain DXB, where we explore what's possible when humans hand over the mic to machines. There's little to no human involvement, and that's what makes this episode so powerful. Welcome to the future of content creation. Let's get into it. This episode is powered by Amana, the region's first and fastest-growing regulated all-in-one trading and investing app. Whether you're looking to invest in U.S. stocks like Apple or Tesla, or MENA giants like Adinoc or Salik, Amana puts the financial market at your fingertips. You also get access to gold, foreign exchange, ETFs, futures, and commodities. With over 375 assets to choose from, they've got the largest crypto selection in the region. And listen, guys, if you want to build long-term wealth without thinking about it every day and want to automate your investing, just set your monthly budget, choose your preferred categories, and let Amana do the rest. No fees, no lockups, and 100% customizable. Even better, funding your account is frictionless, and funding your account is easier than ever. You can fund your account with Apple Pay, Google Pay, credit cards, instant bank deposits, and even your crypto wallet. No friction, no hassle. And if you get stuck, Amana offers 24/6 real human customer support and personalized sales assistance. Because you're part of the Blockchain DXB community, you get an exclusive offer. Register with the code BlockchainDXB and make at least one trade to receive a $100 trading bonus credited to your account the following month. So what are you waiting for? Download the Amana app now. The link and code are in the show notes. Next up, Blockchain DXB is proud to be the official media partner for one of the biggest blockchain events of the year, the Blockchain Futurist Conference. For the first time ever, North America's leading crypto event is heading to the United States, taking place at the iconic Guitar Hotel at Hard Rock in Hollywood, Florida. Alongside it is ETH Women, happening simultaneously. Expect multi-stage panels, NFT galleries, DeFi showcases, tech demos, metaverse experiences, and more, all under one roof. It's where the smartest minds in blockchain, crypto, and AI will converge. Get 25% off tickets by using the code DXB25. And yes, I'll be there with exclusive live coverage, behind-the-scenes interviews, and spotlight features on groundbreaking projects. Mark your calendars, November 5th and 6th, 2025. Visit futuristconference.com and use code DXB25. Link is in the show notes. Next up, Blockchain DXB has two more interesting partnership news to announce. First up, with Future Blockchain Summit and Fintech Surge 2025. Blockchain DXB is an official media partner of Future Blockchain Summit and Fintech Surge 2025. Future Blockchain Summit is one of the biggest and oldest blockchain summit taking place in Dubai, going back to almost a decade, 2017 to be precise. The event takes place between October 12th to 15th at Dubai Harbour. This is where blockchain meets fintech to redefine the future of finance. 250 plus world-class speakers, 1,200 plus investors, live demos, product launches, and the exclusive invite-only GITEX Digital Assets Forum, all under one roof. From Web3 pioneers to fintech leaders shaping payments, banking, insurtech, AI, and DeFi, this event brings the entire ecosystem together. Startups, this is your launchpad. Get in front of top VCs, accelerators, and industry leaders. For blockchain and fintech companies, this is where connections turn into partnerships and dreams turn into exits. Register today at futureblockchainsummit.com. Don't just watch the future unfold, own your space in it. Remember, Future Blockchain Summit and Fintech Surge 2025. The registration link is in the show notes below, and see you at Dubai Harbour. Second partnership news kicking off from today is with the leading Bitcoin event organizers on this planet. And this year, Bitcoin Asia is taking things to another level. Bitcoin Asia are hosting a massive gathering this August in Hong Kong, and Blockchain DXB is proud to be an official media partner of Bitcoin Asia 2025. Taking place this August in Hong Kong, Bitcoin Asia is the region's premier Bitcoin gathering, where builders, investors, and innovators meet. It's really an honor for blockchain DXB to be associated with Bitcoin Asia. Now at this event, expect powerful keynotes, bold conversations, and a headlining session with none other than Eric Trump. He will be sharing his vision for Bitcoin's long-term potential, its role in global finance, and Asia's massive impact on adoption, and a lot more. So listen up, guys. From infrastructure to regulation, privacy tools to lightning development, Bitcoin Asia connects global Bitcoin communities and drives innovation across cultures and markets. And as part of this partnership, you can register for the Bitcoin Asia using the code DXB. All the details are in the show notes below. If Bitcoin's in your blood, this is your event. So, register today at asia.btc and don't forget to use code DXB for 10% off your tickets. Bitcoin Asia 2025, Hong Kong is calling. Be part of the future of Bitcoin. Next up, Advanced Media is the largest distributor of professional video, photography, cinema, and broadcast accessories in the Middle East. They represent over 100 major brands, including DJI, Hasselblad, Red, and Rode. The mic I'm using to record this? Sponsored by Advanced Media. But what really sets them apart is their commitment to purpose. People, planet, and prosperity. That's not just branding, it's their actual business model. They've partnered with SAE Institute in Dubai to offer scholarships to students pursuing a bachelor's degree in filmmaking, each worth AED 50,000. They also run regular workshops, training programs, and tech showcases across the region. For more info, visit amt.t, that's amt.tv. Finally, let's talk about something every crypto investor should take seriously: security. And that's where Ledger comes in. Ledger is one of the most trusted names in crypto security. Their hardware wallets, like the Nano S Plus and Nano X, keep your assets safe by storing your private keys offline. That means you're protected against hacks, malware, and phishing attempts that can compromise online wallets. The company is headquartered in Paris and is constantly innovating. Their team works with world-class security researchers and regularly tests their own products for vulnerabilities. It's why Ledger wallets are used by millions around the world. Using a hardware wallet isn't just smart, it's essential. If you're serious about crypto, it's time to stop relying on centralized exchanges or browser wallets. Click the link in the show notes to order your Ledger wallet and support this podcast at the same time.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We are jumping into something pretty huge today.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a piece of infrastructure with possibly the most ambitious claims we've seen all year. The Chainlink runtime environment, CRE for short.
And they're not positioning it as just, an update. It's being called a complete system overhaul, almost like an operating system for programmable finance.
An operating system, wow.
That ambition seems, justified based on the materials. This is a new orchestration layer. It officially launched into full production just, a couple of days ago? November 4th, 2025.
Right, after about a year in development.
Exactly, and what really sets the tone is that vision from Chainlink co-founder Sergey Nazarov.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing that quote. He wasn't exactly subtle about its potential impact, was he?
Not at all. He basically said, CRE is set to be the great democratizer for advanced on-chain apps. The direct quote was, it's designed to do the same thing that JavaScript did for the internet and what the EVM did for tokenization.
Okay, hold on. JavaScript and the EVM, that's putting it in a seriously fundamental company.
It is.
So if those are the comparisons, then for you listening, the Chainlink one-time environment is meant to be understood as like the central brain of the whole Chainlink platform.
That's a good way to put it. Its core job is to completely change how institutional-level smart contract workflows get built and deployed. We're talking about smoothly integrating everything: blockchains, verified off-chain data, AI systems.
And the big one, legacy finance infrastructure.
Absolutely critical, yes. Legacy systems. It's designed to be the place where all these different pieces can communicate securely and crucially compliantly.
Okay, so let's start with the why.
Yeah.
What was broken before? What problem needed a system this massive to solve it?
Well, the main issue is this really crippling fragmentation and tons of bespoke development effort. Before CRE, if you wanted to build something complex, you were dealing with what are called monolithic Oracle services.
Monolithic, meaning like one big inflexible thing.
Kind of. Imagine you're a big bank wanting to tokenize a fund. You'd need custom integrations for every single chain you wanted to use, every external data feed, every specific compliance rule for different places.
Right, so it was super rigid, incredibly slow, and probably very expensive. You're constantly reinventing the wheel because everything's in its own little silo.
Precisely. CRE is designed to just shatter those silos. It really has three main goals, and they all directly help the people building this stuff. First up, developer empowerment.
Okay, what does that mean practically?
It means giving developers self-serve tools that just hide away the really painful blockchain complexities. We're talking about abstracting things away.
Abstraction is huge here. So what specific headaches is CRE automating that used to take ages?
Things like managing transactions reliably, figuring out complex cross-chain routes, aggressive gas optimization, the stuff that eats up dev time.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Before, you might spend weeks, maybe months, writing client code just to handle nonces, retries, making sure things didn't fail across different chains. Now, the CRE workflow is meant to handle all that automatically, reliably, securely.
And the claim is pretty bold on the time savings, right?
Yeah, the goal they state is cutting development timelines from potentially months or even years down to days or hours. And needing like 80 to 90% less code, that's a massive jump in speed.
80 to 90%.
Yeah.
Wow, okay, second goal, you mentioned hyperscaling.
Yes, because if you abstract the complexity, you can scale much more easily. CRE is built to handle literally thousands of blockchains. The target they're aiming for is over 10,000.
10,000 chains.
That's the target. It lets developers basically build once, run everywhere. Doesn't matter if it's an EVM chain like Arbitrum or something totally different like Solana or Aptos. It standardizes how things run across all these networks.
And the third goal, which really seems key for all the talk about big money moving on-chain, is the TradFi bridge. Getting real-world assets, RWAs, properly tokenized.
Absolutely. If you want to tokenize assets like bonds or real estate at scale, you have to talk smoothly to legacy finance. CRE helps by natively integrating old-school standards, things like Swift MT103 messages or ISO 2022 formats, right alongside public blockchain logic.
And that's critical for things like settling trades.
Exactly. Automating processes like delivery versus payment, DVP settlements. These currently rely on systems that are, frankly, ancient. CRE connects the old and new.
Okay, that covers the why, fixing the fragmentation. Now let's get into the how, the architecture. You said it's modular, like microservices. How did they break down the traditional Chainlink node?
Yeah, they've essentially taken that single monolithic node software and deconstructed it into lots of specialized modular components. It makes the whole system more flexible and reliable. At the center, you've got the CRE runtime that's the conductor, the orchestration layer managing all these parts.
Got it. So let's start with where the logic lives. That would be the workflows.
Right. Workflows are basically the programs, or you could say recipes, defined by the developer. You write them in familiar languages, mostly Go or TypeScript seems common. Then they get compiled into WebAssembly, WASM-M.
Why WASM? What's special about that?
WASM is crucial. It's a really high-performance portable format. It means the same core business logic can run securely and efficiently on any node in the network, regardless of the underlying hardware or operating system. It's universal.
Okay, so the workflow is the what to do, and it's built using smaller pieces, the capabilities.
Exactly. Capabilities are like the reusable building blocks. They're specific functions provided by specialized Oracle networks. Think of them like standardized API calls, but for a decentralized network.
And they have different types.
Yeah, they fall into two main groups. You've got triggers, which kick off a workflow, could be a time schedule, like a CRE job, or maybe an HTTP call coming in from outside. And then you have execution components, which actually do the work, like the EVM client for interacting with blockchains, or the HTTP client for calling external APIs, like a bank's API.
And there are quite a few of these available already.
Yeah, the documentation mentioned over 25 capabilities ready to use right now.
Okay, now who runs these capabilities? This brings us to the decentralized Oracle networks, the DONs. And here's where I had a question. If you're breaking the node into potentially hundreds of these specialized networks, some small, like 10 nodes, some larger, maybe 150, aren't you just swapping one kind of fragmentation for another? How does that central runtime avoid becoming a bottleneck itself?
That's a really important question. The specialization, counterintuitively perhaps, actually boosts efficiency and security. It doesn't create new fragmentation because the CRE runtime acts as that unifying coordinator.
Okay. How so?
Well, for example, you might have one DON that does nothing but super fast read chain operations, very lean, very quick. Then you might have a completely separate high-security DON focused only on consensus compute, complex calculations that need maximum trust.
I see.
So nodes don't have to carry the overhead, the computational weight of every single possible service all the time. They specialize.
Got it. So it is like microservices, breaking down a giant application into smaller, dedicated teams or services where each one just focuses on doing its one job really well.
Exactly that. And the security thread running through all of this is Byzantine fault tolerance, BFT consensus. Every single DON uses BFT.
Which means
They're designed from the ground up to guarantee tamper-proof results, even if some minority of the nodes within that DON are acting maliciously or just fail offline. It ensures trust in the output of each capability.
Okay, let's walk through the execution flow then, because this is where that BFT security model really makes a difference, especially for stuff happening off-chain. How does a workflow actually run through this whole modular setup?
Right. The whole flow is defined by the developer in their workflow code, but it's secured by consensus at critical steps and managed by that central runtime. It starts with trigger activation.
So something kicks it off, like an external event.
Exactly. Let's say a traditional bank receives a fiat deposit that needs to trigger a stablecoin mint. An external system at the bank could send an HTTP trigger message to this CRE.
And the CRE runtime picks that up and immediately starts the orchestration phase.
It does. Based on the workflow code, it starts routing the necessary tasks to the relevant specialized DONs. It manages all the communication, whether tasks need to happen one after another, like first check KYC, then check proof of reserve, or if they can happen in parallel.
Okay, and then we get to the really interesting part, the consensus overlay. You said this applies blockchain-level security to off-chain logic. How?
This is where BFT is absolutely vital. Let's say your workflow needs a critical piece of off-chain data. Maybe checking the balance of a collateral account that's actually managed by, say, a dozen different custodians or banks.
Okay.
Multiple nodes in a specialized DON, the one running the HTTP client capability perhaps, would independently go fetch that balanced data from those different sources. Then, crucially, they use BFT consensus to aggregate those results. Maybe they take the median value to throw out outliers.
So it's not just one node's potentially faulty report.
No. Only once that decentralized network of nodes agrees on a single verified tamper-proof result for that off-chain data point, only then is that output cryptographically signed by the DON.
Wow. So the result isn't just, node A says the deposit arrived. It's this decentralized network attests with BFT security that the deposit arrived. And that signed attestation is then used for the final step, output delivery.
Correct. That signed report, that verified piece of information, is then either written on-chain, maybe to trigger a smart contract to mint a token, or it could be returned off-chain to some other system that just needed that verified data.
And this secure orchestration, this ability to sequence things and get consensus on off-chain steps, that must be key for interoperability too, like with CCIP.
Absolutely vital. The Chainlink cross-chain interoperability protocol, CCIP, it's integrated right into CRE as a native capability. There's a CCIP client.
And what does that enable?
It enables true atomic actions across chains and off-chain systems. What the documentation highlights is that developers can now sequence really complex operations with guarantees. For example, a CCIP message to transfer value cross-chain will only be sent after all the necessary prerequisite off-chain checks.
Like proof of reserve or compliance checks.
Exactly. Port checks, compliance screens, maybe checking fund availability. Only after those steps have successfully passed BFT consensus within the CRE environment does the cross-chain action get triggered via CCIP.
That sounds like it dramatically de-risks cross-chain operations for big institutions.
It absolutely does. And the sources point to this already powering next-gen financial products.
Yeah.
Ondo Finance is mentioned, using it for atomic delivery versus payment settlements.
Right, the DVP example.
By linking that off-chain validation, is the asset really there? Directly with the on-chain settlement via CCIP, they've apparently cut settlement times from the traditional T+2, 2 days, down to just seconds.
Seconds. That's the kind of speed needed for modern global finance. Okay, let's shift gears slightly to the use cases and who's actually using this. If CRE is really aiming for institutional readiness, Compliance has to be front and center.
It really is. And a key feature here, something we should probably spend a moment on, is the Automated Compliance Engine, or ACE.
ACE, okay, what does that do?
ACE is built right into the workflow capabilities themselves. This isn't just like checking a sanctions list once at the start. ACE lets institutions embed auditable, regulator-friendly compliance policies directly inside the automated workflow.
Can you give an example? How does ACE enforce a policy dynamically during a workflow?
Sure. Think about a tokenized security that has specific rules about who can hold it or how much can be transferred. ACE provides capabilities for enforcing things like KYC checks, checking against whitelists or blacklists, enforcing transaction volume limits, things like that.
So during the workflow.
Right. If a workflow step involves transferring that tokenized asset, the ACE capability gets executed by its own specialized DON. That DON might check the recipient's wallet address against an approved institutional whitelist and verify that the transaction amount doesn't exceed a daily limit before the final output is delivered on-chain to actually execute the transfer.
And if it fails the check?
If the transfer fails that ACE check, the workflow just halts securely. And the beauty is the whole process is auditable because the compliance check itself was performed and attested to by the decentralized network using consensus.
That sounds like it makes building complex, compliant RWA systems much more manageable. Okay, let's look at some specific TradFi applications using CRE already.
We're definitely seeing some powerful end-to-end flows emerge. Take stablecoin issuance, for instance. A workflow could be triggered by, say, an external event that mirrors a traditional SWIFT payment message coming in. Then, CRE capabilities validate the status of the fiat reserves backing the stablecoin. The ACE component enforces all the relevant compliance rules, and only then does the minting happen on-chain, potentially followed immediately by a cross-chain transfer using that native CCIP client capability.
A full life cycle.
Exactly. And we see names like JP Morgan's Connexys platform and Ondo Finance mentioned in connection with these kinds of flows.
And it's not just moving money around, but also tokenizing market data itself, like indices.
Correct. The materials highlighted that partnership between Denari and S&P Dow Jones Indices. They launched the S&P Digital Markets 50 Index on November 5th, literally right after CRE went into production.
Timely.
Very. And CRE is the engine under the hood, providing the verifiable, securely delivered on-chain pricing data for this tokenized equity benchmark. It uses that consensus overlay we talked about to secure the price feed. It's securing the value representation of the asset, not just moving the token wrapper.
Interesting distinction. Now, beyond pure finance, the sources also mention integrating AI, even AI agents. How does CRE bridge that gap between, say, a powerful AI model and secure, verifiable action on a blockchain?
It essentially treats AI models like any other powerful but potentially untrusted off-chain data source or computation engine. A workflow could use the HTTP client capability to, say, query an AI model like Google Gemini, maybe to get its analysis for settling a complex prediction market.
But you don't just trust the AI blindly, right?
Exactly. That's where the consensus overlay becomes critical again. The decentralized network doesn't just take the AI's output at face value. Instead, the nodes and the relevant DON might query the model, then aggregate and perhaps verify the confidence scores or other metrics the AI returns before generating the final consensus-backed report that gets delivered on-chain to settle the market.
That's fascinating. So you get decentralized verification layered on top of the AI's output. And the sources also mentioned AI agents triggering workflows using something called BY 402 micropayments.
Right.
What are those exactly?
Yeah, BY 402 is basically a standard protocol designed for machine-to-machine payments. It allows autonomous programs, like AI agents, to pay for computational services, such as triggering a CRE workflow using tiny automated crypto payments.
So the AI pays its own way.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
This opens up possibilities for fully automated systems where AI agents can securely and financially incentivize the decentralized Chainlink network to perform complex, verified, even compliant tasks on their behalf, potentially with no direct human intervention needed for the transaction itself.
Okay, this deep dive really paints CRE as this fundamental infrastructure play. It's about bringing speed, compliance, and serious security to this fragmented multi-chain world we're in.
So wrapping up, what's the final kind of strategic takeaway on what CRE represents? I think it's positioned as the necessary standardization layer, the thing that makes on-chain finance truly programmable and secure, but also scalable enough to potentially handle the massive volumes of institutional capital. By abstracting away all that underlying blockchain complexity, they're effectively providing a standard, trusted environment for deployment. That should really accelerate institutional comfort and adoption.
And looking just a bit further out, the sources hinted the security model itself is getting another upgrade soon, particularly around privacy.
That's right. Slated for some time in early 2026, apparently, are enhancements focused on Chainlink confidential compute. The plan is to use Trusted Execution Environments TEAs to build native privacy layers right into CRE,
Which would allow?
which would allow for genuinely confidential smart contracts where the sensitive input data and the computation itself remain private, potentially even from the nodes doing the work. That's another big step for institutional use cases.
Okay, so our final thought for you. Listening really centers on the potential economic scale here. The research and commentary around CRE consistently suggests that by enabling this kind of institutional-grade, compliant RWA tokenization at scale, this Chainlink runtime environment could be a key factor in expanding blockchain's total value locked TVL from the trillions we see today to potentially hundreds of trillions of dollars.
A huge potential shift.
So ponder this. What really happens to global financial markets when a compliant, secure, globally interoperable financial application, something that used to take a major institution maybe a year and tens of millions of dollars to build, can now potentially be spun up, tested, and deployed by a skilled developer in just a matter of days? CRE seems designed to find out.